Good evening everybody, and welcome to Making It Monday, the sort of penultimate Making It Monday we're going to do, because obviously it's Christmas next week. Well, it is as we're recording this anyway. So welcome. So we've got a lovely little project today. Now the idea about Making It Monday is that it's something really easy. It's something that will take you half an hour to make, maybe an hour tops. I suppose it depends whether you're a new stitcher or whether you've been stitching a while. But the thing is, whatever the case, you'll be able to make one up. Or if I've just seen a post on Facebook on my group, and I think the young lady has made probably 20 or 30 of the little shopping bags that we did. You know, the tiny little dinky, the teeny tiny bags that we did that we could hang on the Christmas tree. Well, I'm sure I counted about 20 or 30. So for some people it's going to be a brilliant idea. For others it's going to be, well, I'll try it out and see how I get on. But the idea is that it's simple. You can whip them up in no time. There's no thought process to it. That's the whole idea anyway. And so far it's been working really well. So with this week's Making It Monday, we're going to be making the little gift pouch. So it's a little gift card holder, I suppose. I'll show you on the side camera in a minute. And it's a really easy make. The pattern's there for you. There you go, it opens up. You can see I've got a couple of cards in there. And of course you could make it bigger if you wanted to. You know, you could add extra pockets in there if you wanted to. You go figure it out, because I've given you the basics to have a go. This has got a bell on it. Don't know if you can hear that. It's got a little bell on it instead of a button. So it's up to you where you want to take it, I suppose. So it's a lovely simple little make. I just absolutely adore it, and I think you will as well. You only need scraps of fabric with all of these projects. And just as a reminder, let's just have a quick reminder. So I've got my wires tangled up here. That's it. I've got a quick reminder of what we've made so far. These are not in any particular order, because I absolutely cannot remember which order they should be in. So we've got the little mitt there, like the oven mitt. So that's on if you go to my website lizzycurtis.com, there is a little section in the shop that says free patterns. I've had a little bit of a change around in the shop today, so I don't think it's top. I think it's a little bit further down. I think I've done everything alphabetically, which may or may not help you. But anyway, so the little oven mitt is there. So we're now on pattern number 7. Next week will be the last one at pattern number 8, and unless you nag me and want more, then I'll stop it there for this year, and we'll see how we get on perhaps in the new year. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I'll be reliant on you telling me if you want to do any more. Then I've got the scissor keeper. So now look, this is the truth. I have my scissor keeper with me all the time. It's always beside me. This is the one we actually made in the Facebook Live. If you're not too sure where the Facebook Lives are, if you go to the top of my page, Lizzy Curtis, and look at videos, they're all in there. So you can have a look at them anytime you like. So that's the one that we actually made. This was the first one that I've ever did, and I was inspired to make this by a lady called Karen. So thank you very much, Karen, for that inspiration. And then we had the glasses case. So I've got the little glasses case here, and I think this is the one that I made on the Facebook Live as well. And again, that's another free little pattern for you. It's got a popper, so if you want to know how to put a snap fastener on, go check it out. Got the second one there. That's the one that's on the front of the pattern. And then this one. Now this is the little, it's like a card wallet or a coin purse, something like that. This is possibly my favourite so far. We've done a little bit of crumb quilting, sort of. It's not how some people do crumb quilting, it's how Lizzy does crumb quilting. So there's no rules. So you can see that it was all one piece, and then we just stitched the tab all the way around, if you can see it like that. And then this little piece here, if you can see sticking out, let's do it that way so you can see it sticking out, that just slides under the tab slides under the loop. This week I've got my words in order, and that's what that one looks like. That's a free pattern. Then we had the car tidy. or anywhere you like tidy, which has the deep pocket there, and it has 2 pockets on the front. Now I made mine in strips. They're actually not 2.5-inch strips, I'll be honest with you, they're not. They were Moda scrap bags that I bought from my daughter, Avid Crafts, and so they're all different widths, I have to be honest with you there. And I think it measures about, yeah, about 7 inches square, something like that, 7 by 8. And it's, yeah, so it's got the 2 useful pockets at the front, and it's got the big storage pocket at the back, and you can hang it. Now you could hang it from the tree, why not? Fill it with gifts, it might fall over. You could hang it from like a, you know, the little sort of cupboard, little sort of knob there. You can hang it from there if you wanted to. Whatever you like, but the pattern is there for you to enjoy. And then we've got our teeny tiny shopping bag, which is teeny tiny. Don't ever think this is going to be enormous, because it's not, but it's perfect for hanging from your tree. It's perfect for putting chocolate coins in. You know, when we get to Easter, those patterns will still be on my website. I'm not going to delete them, they'll always be there. If they run out, I'll just top them up. I keep an eye on it, so I'll make sure they don't run out. But that could easily hang on your tree. I don't know where you're going to see it, but so if I could just sort of hang it there. There you go, so you can see what it looks like. I'll take it off because I've got a nice little train there. So I don't want to cover up the train, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, just about. Yes, so those are the 3 patterns so far. The little bag, the little tidy away, the little coin purse, the little glasses case, the little scissors holder, and the little sort of heart-shaped, it's like a grabby thing for anything that's warm. Please, if you're going to use it for the oven, put Thermolan or something in there that'll stop your hands from burning. I've just used regular wadding because that's what I demonstrated with, but you use whatever is suitable for you, okay? So I'll pop those to one side. So tonight we're going to be making the little wallet. I'm just going to switch the camera over so we can see it on the side view, and you'll see what it looks like. And there we go, so you can see exactly what it looks like there. So it's got a little bell on the front because it suits my fabric, and it has this flap here that folds over, and you can just unloop it. So we've got a tiny little loop again today because it just suits the project. We did the little handles on the teeny tiny bag, and it's the same width, so it is small, be warned. And then inside we've got 2 little pockets there, and you could add more cards in there. Now this one doesn't have any stabilizer. The one I'm going to do tonight has got a medium weight stabilizer, so I wouldn't use wadding. I absolutely would not use wadding because it's just not big enough to take the bulk of the wadding. If you do try, tonight I'm going to use stabilizer, and I've left a sort of a 1/4 inch gap all the way around. I'll show you when we get to that point. So that's basically it. So although it's the most simplest make in the whole wide world, it's something that you could knock up after lunch on a Sunday. Well, we've only got one Sunday left now, to put maybe one of your grandchildren's cards in there, or maybe your partner's card in there, or maybe you've got children that are just going to have a little gift card. I don't know, you could put a gift card this side, and well, we shouldn't be using cash, but if you've got some cash that's been disinfected, you can pop it in the pocket there and maybe give some cash, but I'm not recommending that at all. But maybe you could put some little treats in there, something like that. But the idea is that it's a simple make. It's nothing complicated, otherwise it just limits to what we can do, doesn't it? It just limits the people that want to make it, and it limits it to all of us that just want to do a little bit of simple stitching, which is exactly what this is. So if we stay on this side camera here, I'll just get rid of my mouse so you don't have to stare at that, and I'll just pop it there so we can have a look at it. We can keep it in our eye, if you like. That's it. Let's just do it so you can see it. There we go. So what you should have is the pattern downloaded from the website. Like I keep saying, they are free. If you may well have gone onto the website and haven't got a clue what you're doing, all you need to do is put free in the coupon code box that's at the checkout. So go all the way through the checkout, it'll say it's 50p apart from the glasses case, and you get to checkout and there's a coupon code box. I think it's on the bottom left. You put free in there It accepts the coupon and then you get it for nothing, okay? But if you do pay 50p, that's entirely up to you, but most of that goes in PayPal charges, so nothing comes to me. So don't feel that you need to pay me, because you don't. So you should get the pattern like this. So this is the mock-up that I did the other day, little set dressing there. Tells you exactly what you need. You may well find that we need to trim some of this back. Talk about that as we go along. Very simple instructions. My patterns are usually very, very comprehensive, but for these projects I'm keeping it really simple. And the idea is that you've got the written word here and the pictures, but also obviously today we've got the video tutorial, which makes everything so much easier. And then again, a little bit of incentive on the back, you can see what this looks like, a little bit of inspiration, and a Merry Christmas from me. So hugs and love from Lizzy. So that's basically it. So if we have a quick look at the front here, it says what we need. It's quite clear, nice big writing. Like I say, you might need to trim this back. We'll talk about that in a sec. Stabilizer, I've said a medium weight, but that's optional. You'll need a button so you can stitch. You can stitch that on the front, and really that's it. So it's a really lovely, basic, simple design. If we go to the first instruction, it says to fold our fabric at 2 1/4 inches and 1 3/4 inches, so it looks like this. So if you look at that, it looks like a concertina. So we're going to go through this one step at a time, okay? And I'll have the instructions to hand so we can see exactly what we're talking about and what it looks like. So if I pop them there, you don't need to see them. I'm going to bring my machine in so I'm ready to do a bit of stitching. So bring the big old beastie in. And it's so heavy, this machine, but it does the trick. So I thought I've got some, let me just show you what fabric I'm using. So this is going to be my outside fabric, and you can see straight away that I've put stabilizer on there, but it's actually 1/4 inch away from the outside edge, and that's because I don't need the stabilizer in the seams. It's just A, it's a waste, and B, it adds bulk, and something this small, it really doesn't need any more bulk. Then I'm going to use some gorgeous cave fabric, which I've already pressed into shape, and I thought, well, you know what, you're not going to be able to see my creases, you're not going to be able to see my lines, so I've got a piece of plain fabric here that I'm going to show you how to fold this. But this is all ready to go. Okay, then I've got my little bell, so I've got another little bell that I'm going to stitch on, and I've got my little loop here, which in the front of the instructions it tells you it's 1 inch by 2 inches, and we're just going to stitch that. It's the tiniest little thing. Now, since last week, but I couldn't remember what the little piece of fabric is called that you start off stitching with, somebody messaged me and said, well, I call it a leader and a follower. Other people call it a donkey. Didn't like donkey, but I quite like leader and follower. So you could do that, and if I can find a scrap, I will show you what I'm talking about, okay? So just going back to this little scrap here, so this is my white piece that you'll be able to see fairly clearly. In fact, I might put it on my ironing mat just to raise it up a little bit, because everything sticks to this, which is lovely. So let's just bring that up. Now, you can't see my crease lines, but I've got a crease here and I've got a crease there. Let me just try and make that so it's obvious. Okay, so that's already pressed, but I'm going to show you what you're going to do. So in the instructions it says fold your fabric at 2 1/4 inches. So what I would do is I would get your ruler, tape measure, and measure up 2 1/4 inches from here. Now I made a little cut in my fabric, or what you can do is just make a little mark either end. Okay, so just either end you're going to make a little mark. If you wanted to, use a heat erasable pen and draw all the way across. And then what you're going to do is pinch that up. So you're going to pinch that side, you're going to pinch that side, and you're just going to lift that, and so it goes under. Okay, and you'll see, there we go, it's great. You can see where that lands up, ends up. Ends up. I haven't got my teeth in straight tonight. So you can see how that's folded underneath there, okay? The next measurement is 1 3/4. So once again, you bring your ruler in You measure 1 3/4, you make a little mark, and I've already pressed mine so it saves me a little bit of time, and you can either draw all the way across, or you can just do a little mark either end like that, and then you're just going to fold that up. Now you might not see that when you fold, so you might want to do that from the other side, whatever's easier for you, and you're just going to fold that up. And all of that, let's just get that so it sits right, all of that then makes your pocket. So when it's folded up like this, you can see you've got your pocket going along here. And you'll see also that the fold doesn't come as far as the raw edge. It's lovely seeing it on the white fabric because obviously you're seeing right through it. Now when this is folded and pressed, this is a little bit wider than your backing fabric. So it's about 1/4 inch. So where I've said 7 1/4 inches to cut, I would just cut at 7. So I've already cut mine to size, so your backing sits beautifully over the top. But you can see how that's folded, okay? It's one fold at the front and then one fold underneath. And that just, if you just lift that up, you'll have this. It's almost like a 1/2 inch really. I'm not going to measure it, but needless to say, that fold that's underneath there, which is showing beautifully on the screen, it means that when you stitch, you're not stitching all this fabric, okay? The idea of that is we're reducing bulk on the seam. If we were to bring the fold line right down to the seam edge, down here, down the raw edge, it means you're going to be stitching through, well, 4 layers of fabric when you stitch the backing on. There's no point. So obviously I've left it so it's a raw edge and it's nice and easy. So having said all that, let me pop that to one side. And this is, isn't it gorgeous? This is the fabric I'm going to be using, okay? And you can hardly see, but it's folded exactly the same. If I bring that up, you can see that it's longer at the front, just as we did before, and this part here. And so that's what it should look like, okay? With that folded, lovely edge there, ready for your cards. The next thing we need to do is to add the loop. The loop goes in on the right side of your design. So this is the left, this is the right. And if you look at the picture, it says fold the tab to make a 1/4 inch wide loop and stay stitched to right hand side. So that's exactly what we're going to do now. And you'll see my little loop is the same fabric as the inner. So that when it's folded over, it's going to look really nice. So we'll just pop that on my mat there. We'll bring in the machine. Oh, leader and follower. Yep, that's what I was going to do. And because we've finished with the white piece now, I'll use that. I'll just cut a piece off, which seems such a shame. But it was just a scrap piece of sheeting. It wasn't anything important. So let's just cut this into 2 pieces, like that. So I've got 2 pieces now. It doesn't have to be the same size. All you're going to do is fold that in half to make a little sort of, I don't know, little scrap piece. There's 4 layers there. It's quite nice because I know my machine will grab that. So let's just get that lined up. So all it means is that when we come along here and we get to the end of where we're stitching, we can just pop our loop that we've folded in half. Look, if you have a look, it's 1 inch by 2, so it's 1 inch across, okay? And you're folding those long raw edges to the middle. We've done this before. We did this with the little teeny tiny bag. So the 2 long raw edges go to the middle, and then you fold it again. You need a 1/4 inch sort of loop really. You want it to be neat and tidy. Anything bigger and it's going to look clumsy, okay? It's going to look a little bit clumsy. So I'm just going to move my mouse off my computer, so bear with. And good evening to everybody that's watching. This is on a Facebook Live, and it's going to be eventually onto YouTube, probably in the next couple of days. So all I need to do is pop my little loop underneath there that I want to stitch, and all I'm going to do is do a continuous stitch. Now if you want to, you could actually get your stiletto or your little pokey tool and you could just help it on its way, but look at that, it's absolutely fine. You could cut this piece off, so this is your leader. You could cut this off and pop it here, or you can just get a second piece, fold it up, and then as you come to the end of your loop, you just carry on stitching. I just want to make sure that's lined up. I'm doing this at a funny angle, guys. And then you just carry on stitching. So that's what you end up with. A little loop right in the middle of a leader and a follower. I much prefer that. And so the next stage is to actually just stay stitch this onto your little project here. So find the centre. You could stitch this, if we in fact, let's do it, never mind say it, let's just do it. I'm going to stay stitch my pleat down, my fold. So about 1/8 of an inch. Seam allowance is 1/4 of an inch on this, nothing more is required. Let's just trim that thread away to make it neat. So I've stitched my fold down there just to hold that. And if you wanted to find the middle, fold your piece in half on the short end and put a little V out of that. Just cut a little V. And that little V there, what's the best way to put it? There you go. You can see it on my machine. That little V now is right in the centre of that short end. So I can line up my loop with that and make sure that my loop is central. So I'm putting the folded edges of my tab to the outside. It's not crucial, just keeps everything tidy. Just make sure it is lined up. You could put pins in this just to hold it, by all means, because this is not going to sort of stay still. Or put quilter's tape. Use some of your lovely quilter's tape. So all I'm doing is holding my loop down. It still wants to wriggle, so we're going to let it, and just stay stitch over the top, okay? And that's what that should look like, okay? So that's what it says on picture number 2, which I haven't numbered, but I'm sure you can work it out. That's picture number 2, and that shows the loop in place. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is actually stitch the outside to this inside. So you're going to put the right side of your backing fabric to the right side of your wallet, the inside of that, and so it's right sides together. There's no up or down with this, it's just the same size. There's the back, there's the front, and we're going to stitch all the way around, but we're going to leave a turning gap at the top of the purse. I find that easier, of about well, I'd say about 2.5–3 inches. I'm not going to measure it. And then we're just going to do a little back stitch and 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Put your walking foot on if you find your fabric shifts, as fabric will do, and then all the way around, just hold your pleats in place or pin, and just, you'll see that it will wriggle, so just hold on to it. Now the great thing about this stripy fabric is that it's wriggly stripy fabric, which means it's not going to show if I go wriggly. So it's a great fabric. If you use stripes, you really need to be careful of how well you stitch, because it will show up. So just going over the loop there, coming up to that final corner. So my starting point was here, so I'm going to finish about there. Oops, went a bit wavy there. So there we go. So I've gone all the way around, and I've got my little turning gap just here. Now the great thing to use at this point now is pinking shears. Pinking shears are your friend, so just cut into that, take some of that bulk away. These are perfect for going round curves, because they do, you know when you go around curves and you clip into it? Well, this does that without the bother of actually doing all those little clips. So you could just leave it like that, or you could take it all the way down. If you're going to do that, don't do it across your turning gap, okay? Just start cutting sort of from here and along, and from here and along. But I'm just going to leave it exactly like that, just my corners cut off, and I've taken some of the excess away where the loop is because it's a little bit bulky there. So there we go. So I'm going to turn it through. There we go. And this is where you need a first of all, hopefully you've done a nice back stitch and you've locked your stitches in place, because this is where your seam would all rip open if you hadn't. And then you need a nice blunt tool to be able to poke those corners out. So I use a parchment tool. And if your pocket, this is a good thing to see, if your pocket ends up on this side, all you need to do is turn it to the back, okay? Turn it to the inside of your pouch. So poke those corners out, be gentle because we've just cut into them. So you want it to be, you want to be gentle with your corners. You don't want, the worst thing could happen is that your tool goes through the corner and you get a hole basically. So you'd need to turn it through again, do another bit of stitching and just repair that little hole that you might have made. So there we go. So that's our inside almost done. There's our turning gap there. So the best thing to do now is to actually put this under the iron. We've got to still do our pockets. We've still got to stitch our turning gap. And we've also got to stitch our button on, but we're almost there. So just make sure that your seams are lovely and pressed. So we'll give that a little press. And just make sure that you just roll those seams between your fingers just to get that looking beautiful. And because you've turned it inside out, it's going to be quite creased. So this is why we put the iron on it to make it nice and neat. So, Mel says she can't get the fold, so I will go through that again, Mel, in just a moment. Even though I cut my piece, I think we'll be fine to show you. And the other thing is you can watch this back. I mean, I don't necessarily need to do that because you can watch it back. So there, look at that. It's so garish, isn't it? I love a bit of cave. The outside looks quite neat. I mean, you could put somebody's initial on there. You could do some applique on there. It's a blank canvas. You could do some gorgeous free motion work. Oh my goodness me, I was just thinking of the trio of purses that we've done. I've got the pattern on the website. Look what you could do. You could do those flowers all the way along there and create something gorgeous, couldn't you? I think so. And there's the other one, you could have done that one on there. So don't think you have to leave it like that because you absolutely, this is just a starting point surely. So then I'm just going to press my turning gap seam in and just get that nice and straight. And if you pull it, it'll help straighten those seams up, okay? And you can then top stitch all the way around or you can glue. I don't mind you gluing. I shan't tell anybody if you've glued. I just want to get that a little bit better because it's not how I would like it. That's a little bit better. It doesn't need a steam, it's fine. It's just a small little piece of cotton fabric, so a steam, you know, it's not a piece of patchwork. We don't need to go crazy. So there we are. Let's just see what that looks like. I'm going to need the iron again in just a little while. So let's just pop that to one side. So let's ignore the fact we've got a turning gap there, guys. Let's just ignore that for the moment. And what I need to do is to actually do the top stitching on here. Now when we look at the pattern, I want you to have a look. So we've done this bit where we've chopped our corners off. You can see I've done pinking shears along the side there. And this is where we're at now. And it says here, measure 3 5/8 from the left and sew from top to bottom. Repeat to get 2 pockets and a flap. So that's 3 5/8, okay? And I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do it on the plain side, as long as I make sure that that's the flap end where the button is, or the button loop is. So from this side here, it's 3 5/8. So it's 3 5/8. So I've made a little mark. You'll not be able to see it, but I'll do a line. And then I can use that line to stitch. I'll do it and then I'll hold it up. Oh, you can see beautifully. And then from that line there, you're doing another 3 5/8. Now look, if I don't do metric, okay, I don't do centimetres and millimetres because I'm old school. So if somebody wants to convert that to metric, that would be lovely. If not, it's only a unit of measure, isn't it? So get yourself an imperial ruler like this, and if I say 3 5/8, it's pretty darn easy. Okay. So let's just put that to one side. So now that's what it looks like, okay? So those are the two places that I'm going to stitch. I'm going to stitch along there and I'm going to stitch along there, okay? And that will give us our little pockets. And if we look at the right side, you can see that it's still one piece. So now, when you're stitching from this side, I mean, you wouldn't normally do it from this side, but I'm going to do it because then you can see it. Make sure that your pocket is following the line of your stitching. If we go against it, it might knock it out of place. So with this, you're going to do a very, 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 very neat little back stitch. So nothing too exaggerated. One or two stitches is plenty. And then when we come to the end, again, just one stitch is fine. And it makes a really neat job. Now you can still see the blue of my pen, so we'll get that ironed off in just a second. And again, we're just going one stitch. In fact, I'll do that again because I was just off the edge of the fabric there. And then straight across. Okay. There we are. Now we've still got our turning gap, guys. Can you see? It's just here. So this is the moment where you're either going to hand stitch that together, you're going to glue it, or you're going to top stitch. If you top stitch, you're going to top stitch all the way around. And you can see now where my pockets are going to be. There's one pocket here and there's one pocket here. So what I'll do is I'll just trim my threads. Now I like this fairly neat, so I would probably put a little bit of glue on this just to hold it together. It's something that's not going to be worn, so it doesn't have to be super, super strong. And it is only the turning gap, so it's nothing that's going to take much pressure. So I'm just going to top stitch all the way around that. If you're going to top stitch the turning gap, you might as well top stitch all the way around. And I'll do it from the front because that's what you're going to see. So try and keep it as straight as you can, and just, you could up the length of your stitch now because if for top stitching it looks nice when it's got a long stitch. And I'm just going to pull that out slightly. There we go. So literally, I suppose, is it 1/8 of an inch? A couple of mil? Hold on, let's just put one more stitch there. It's always one more stitch, isn't it? And then just carry it all the way around. I must admit, this could have been ironed a little bit better. But when you do it yourself, you'll just make such a neat job of it. I'm kind of stitching sideways here. And then, there we go, back to where we started. Don't do a back stitch, it's just one more stitch. Just go over those first 2 or 3 stitches and break your threads, and that's plenty. Okay, let's just snip those ends there. And so that's it, top stitched all the way around, but obviously we've still got the issue of this fold here, and obviously we need to also stitch our bell on, so let's do that. So I've got my iron already on. And all you're going to do, and this is where you could use steam if you wanted to, because you want these creases to be really crispy. So make that a lovely, can you see the difference with an iron? Bring that over to the top, give it a little bit of space, don't take it all the way over, and iron. And we'll do it from the back as well, and our blue marks should go. So let's make sure they all go, and make it nice and crispy, as I always say. So there's our little wallet done, and we've created the pockets inside. In fact, let's transfer the cards and then you'll see what that looks like. And they're cards of no significance whatsoever, I promise you. Oh dear, there we go. So you've got your 2 cards in there. And of course, like I said, you could always put money in there. You could add a little bit of cash in one of those sides. We don't deal with cheques anymore, but maybe I don't know, maybe you've got some sort of voucher you can give that you might have, and then it closes beautifully like that. And then, of course, if you're going to put the little button on, you just want a double thread. It's always easier with a double thread. You could take your pen, open up your loop, put yourself a little mark where you want the button or your bell, in this case, to go. Let me just take the cards out. And so the bell has a lovely sort of shank to it. It's I don't know if I can hold it so you can see it, but it's great because it just your needle just goes through like that. So let's pop the button on. So make sure you don't stitch all the way through your pocket. So you just want to make sure that your fingers are in there and you're stitching here. So we'll do a couple of stitches just to secure that knot. And I've got a little end there, which I shall just cut. So that's nice and secure. I've got my bell, little tinkly bell. There you go, you can hear it. And I'm just going to put my fingers in the pocket, look, underneath, just to make sure I don't go all the way through. If you want to do this before, you can, but you won't really know, not really, where your loop's going to go. And your creases, your folds that you do might be slightly different to mine. You might make your pockets a little bit bigger than mine. So I would always say do it afterwards, but be cautious of how you're stitching. And I bet anybody's going to come back to me and say, I forgot what you said and I stitched the pocket. But we'll see. We'll see. So because it's double thread, we don't have to do too many stitches, but just make sure that it is secure because it's going to hold maybe a precious card. I think you can get cards for coffee places and things like that, as long as they're open near you and safe. And then cut your threads. There we go. Let's pop that in the pincushion. So there's our little bell. Obviously that's quite seasonal, having a little bell, but you know it works. So then all you're going to do is just pop your loop over, and that's just going to hold it beautifully, and just straighten it up. There we go. And you might say, oh well, the loop looks quite big because when it, you know, it has to go over the size of the button or the bell or whatever you're going to use, so the loop does have to be quite big. And now I'm struggling to get it out. So don't stint on that. I'm not going to open it because it just doesn't want me to open now. But that's the little wallet made. Like I said before, this one was made and there is no stabiliser in that, so it's really soft. So it's up to you how you want it to feel and how you want it to look. But that's it. So the idea, like I said before, the idea of making it Monday is that we all get together and we do a little bit of stitching, something super, super easy, something that's not going to take all those concentration levels and headache. And I saw the little note there about folding, but if you watch the video afterwards, you'll soon get the gist of what I've said. Just follow that, look at the pictures. You need to get that up, down, V in your fabric, and then you're well away. And once you've done it once, it'll be like, why didn't I get it the first time? We're all the same, okay? A lot of us are visual learners, and certainly a video helps you. So that, my dears, is making it Monday. So it's not even quite an hour. So we made that, I know I cut it out beforehand, but I made that in, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes, something like that. So I hope you enjoy that, and I hope you make loads. And it's been lovely to spend a bit of time with you, share my Christmas tree with you. I've got the lights on, I don't know if you can see. Just before you go, just to all remind you that I've got a fantastic pattern and workshop on the website now. If you go to lizzycurtis.com, we've got the trio of purses, and I'm sure all of you have seen me talk about the trio of purses before, but I'm just going to quickly run through it. This is the pattern that you'll see on the website. It's called a trio of purses. It comes with a kit, so I have to send that out to you. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to make these particular ones. You can just buy the pattern on its own, and you put your own fabrics to it. But each one of these little purses is individual. It all has free motion embroidery on and applique, all sorts of different lovely techniques. And I ran a workshop with this a couple of weeks ago. In fact, it was probably only a week ago, and I said the idea of making these little purses is that we make pictures. So each one of these are a picture, if I get it the right way around. So you're making these pictures with your free motion embroidery and your applique. And this is the one that I made on the night. So again, you're making that picture, but actually it turns into the most exquisite little purse. There's a little pocket there. So the trio of purses is on my website now. Go and have a look at that. It's a workshop on the 3rd of January, and places will be closed on the 28th of December for that, because I need to post that out to you. I'm afraid my ladies in the US and Canada and abroad perhaps won't get them. So obviously you can attend the workshop, but you probably won't have your kits. The kits are almost identical to what you see here, and you'll get tons left over as well. The kits are gorgeous. They've been put together especially for me, for you, by Kim Porter. Look her up, she's amazing. So that's it. Just wanted to remind everybody about that, because I know at the moment they're selling like hotcakes, so there won't be many more days for them to be available on the website. And I know a lot of people have asked me about them. So next week will be our last Making It Monday, because then it's Christmas and I'm on my holidays for about a week, not going anywhere, just taking a break, chillaxing with John and Millie the dog. And then we start full pelt in January. I'm going to have a little bit of time off in January, but we start full pelt again with workshops, with stitching. We may be doing Making It Mondays. You just let me know, because I'll be guided by you. And that's it really. Just looking forward to a brand new year. New patterns on my online sewing group, the Gold Group. So looking forward to that. I asked everybody what they wanted for 2021, and actually we've got so many ideas, we're now going into 2022. So that's fun and exciting. And I'm really looking forward to sort of realising some of those ideas that the ladies and gents gave me today. It's really exciting times, really indeed is. So that's it from me. So I'm glad that you could join me this evening. We've had a lovely big audience, and I'm really proud and pleased that you could join me. And I shall speak to you all again next Monday here on Lizzy Curtis, and I'll see you again very soon. So join me next week with Making It Monday.